Hi there, how are you doing? Well, as you know, places of worship are to be closed up now. There's only really two exceptions to that as far as we can tell. One is for funerals and the other one is for solitary prayer. That's why I'm here. Also, we're to do a weekly check in the building, which we're told is absolutely essential. So because this is my place of work and I can't do this from home, I'm up here to do that just now. So once a week, just me, myself and I. It's just not the same without you. But wherever you are, whoever you can join us, why don't you come on inside with me now? Well, with the new rules in place, which we are certainly abiding by, there are restrictions on how much filming I'm going to be able to do, but I'll try and still get videos out to you. I'll piece together bits of footage I took before the current rules came into place, so if you see what I'm wearing changing in between or the weather changing, you'll know why. That's exactly why. But I'm here alone for solitary prayer and to check the building. But one thing we always do, and we did this anyway, whenever anyone's here on their own, we always lock the building up from the inside, so just going to do that now. Well, back home now after the one daily walk. That's it for today. And the door's closed again. That's it, inside, shut in. There is nothing else for it. I wonder how you're getting on with that. It's a funny feeling being closed in, being locked in, if you like. I remember once going on an underground caving experience with one of our kids. And it was an interesting experience. It was dark, it was cramped, it felt closed in. I discovered that I much preferred being on top of mountains rather than inside them. I wonder how you're getting on inside most of the time at the moment. Well, today we're going to think of a story from the Bible about being locked in and locked in a room. But first I'm going to go and get a coffee, so why don't you join me? Well, I wanted to read to you from the Bible, and it's from John chapter 20, and it says this. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, with the doors locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and side, and the disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." And with that he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone his sins, they are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven." Now Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe it." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands, and reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Jesus did many other miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But they are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. The disciples here were in a room, and we don't know, but it may well have been the same room where the Last Supper had taken place. That had been a very different experience for them. They'd been with Jesus. He had spoken words of love and comfort to them. He'd washed their feet. He'd been with them. But now he wasn't with them, or so it seemed. He'd been taken from them, arrested, condemned, tried and put on a cross, and then placed in a tomb after his death. And now the disciples are together, and they've got their doors locked, and they're fearful, we're told. Maybe they were waiting for that knock on the door, wondering if they would be next, who would be next, what was going to happen to them. They were very, very unsure and uncertain as to what was going to take place. But something was going to take place in their life that was going to change them forever. I wonder how you're getting on where you are, with your door locked, in the room where you find yourselves. Jesus comes to meet us in that place. Well, then we read this, that Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." It's amazing. He came right into their situation, even into a locked room where they were, even into a fearful place where they were, and said, "Peace be with you." He's standing there right with them. You know, not everybody recognized Jesus at first when he had risen from the dead. But he shows them his hand and his side, and of course, they are immediate markers of who Jesus is. They're overjoyed when they see him. So they would have recognized him from that, and also those scars would have spoken to them. He has been through suffering. He has been through what we have experienced in life. He knows all about how we feel. He knows how you are feeling just now. And of course, those scars are real. They speak of real wounds. This wasn't some kind of psychological experience the disciples were having. It wasn't some apparition or wishful thinking. Jesus was really, really there with them. And he brings peace into our situation. He's called the Prince of Peace. We read in Romans 5 that we have peace with God through Jesus. In Ephesians, we're told that Jesus himself is our peace. He preaches peace to those who are far away and peace to those who are near. And that word that he uses, shalom, which he presumably would have said, not speaking in English, that word shalom means so much more than peace just being an absence of conflict or an absence of war. We talk about peacetime being, well, in between wars, if you like. It's much richer than that, much fuller, much more meaningful. This beautiful word shalom means a holistic well-being, experiencing the love and the grace of God deep within us. And that's what Jesus speaks into our life. And each of the disciples had to experience that for themselves. He came and he spoke this to them, and they saw him and he experienced it, and they were overjoyed. He breathed a newness of life into them through the Holy Spirit. Even Thomas, where had Thomas been at first? We don't know. Why wasn't he there? Maybe he'd been dejected or isolated or felt isolated. But even he himself experiences the risen Jesus and the peace that Jesus brings. You know, for the disciples here, their situation hadn't changed. They were still under threat. Their circumstances actually hadn't changed, but inside they had changed. They knew that Jesus was with them. They had the Holy Spirit breathed into them, and he had a deep, deep sense of peace. Wherever you are, whatever room you find yourself in, wherever you are locked away just now, I pray that you have an experience and a meeting with the risen Jesus for yourself. That as he breathes life into your situation, you experience his deep peace. Jesus, we're told earlier in John chapter 14, it says this, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." And that's why we're told that when the disciples were together, with the doors locked through fear, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." May you experience that peace that comes from Jesus now and forevermore. God bless you. Stay safe and stay well.